Yeah, until animals get the autonomy to go ahead and hitchhike and use apps on their own, they do rely on us for transportation. So we're always kind of talking about, we bring up the question of what does that look like in your area? What are those accessibility, issues, and available resources in your area, so that we can make sure that those fur babies are, taken care of medically, and you have access to that transportation for that spay neuter vaccination microchipping that we're also very eager and concerned about. Um, so yeah, so just something to brainstorm. Go ahead and type them in the chat, and go ahead and we can all kind of brainstorm some ideas. Go ahead, Geraldine.
I was just going to reiterate what you were going to say and say that, there was a question in the chat earlier trying to specify, like, is it for rescue groups or national transport? So this is specifically for transportation within your areas to get animals to and from their appointments.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think a lot of the times we think of like transportation as in transport, right? We're taking animals from, the lower resourced areas of the country, and we're bringing them to our northern friends and stuff, and our partners that do have capacity to take in some babies. So but no, this is just more into the, like, the one-offs, or the litter of puppies that needs vaccinations, or that kind of stuff. So whether it's for your fosters, for pet owners in your community, things like that. So do your APOs, go ahead and do that out in the field. Can they take them to appointments? Do you have partnerships, with your United Way or Meals on Wheels or whatever it is, church groups and things like that? But yeah, today we're going to go ahead and get into some really amazing examples from some amazing rock stars that were just like, barriers, not today, and just figured, duct tape some stuff together, which is always kind of fun. And you're going to give us some blueprints to figure out how we can go ahead and get things started in our own organizations and communities.
Awesome. So if you haven't posted in the chat any national updates, now's the chance for you to post that, or feel free to unmute yourself, because we're going to get started. We've got 3 speakers today, and I'll just give you a few moments to see if anyone wants to unmute.
Hi, I'm Emily from the UC Davis Current Shelter Medicine Program. I'm really excited to share that applications are now open for the next session of our Shelter Care Specialist Certification Program, which will begin on January 6th. I'll post a link in the chat where you can find more details about the program and also how to apply. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. That's fantastic. Anybody else? Some national updates?
Hey, this is Stephen Knight.
I knew it. I knew it. He's gonna.
I'm going to take advantage of this.
I keep voting, so don't worry. You keep going, please. But
hi, everybody. My name is Stephen Knight. I'm the executive director of Dogs Matter. We temporarily foster dogs for people to go in drug and alcohol rehab. And then we have an aftercare program that stays with them up to 12 months. And we provide supportive services like pet deposits and transportation to places and vet appointments. So we do actually have that in our aftercare. I think it's been very successful. I have been nominated for the 2024 CNN Hero of the Year. And I would love for everybody to vote every day, 10 times a day, up until December 2nd. And our organization could win $100,000, which would be a game changer for Dogs Matter. And so anyway, vote, vote, vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for, that shameless plug, as well as for all of the amazing work. We've worked together several times with certain cases and things. They're based out of Dallas, but they're helping all of Texas, all over the place. People need help. So connecting and just so happy to have you as part of our village, for sure. We're very fortunate. And steal this idea other parts of the country, because it's fantastic and it's so needed. So thank you. Any other national updates?
Hello, everybody. It's Kathy from Canada. Happy to be here. Haven't seen you guys in a while, at any rate. So just letting you know that our National Prosecution Conference is coming up on your Thanksgiving. Sorry about that. November 28th and 29th. Welcoming any allied professionals, so humane law enforcement, or prosecutors who might be involved in the prosecution of offenses related to animals. And it's a great conference, so would highly recommend it. And I'll pop the info in the chat. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Lucy, if you would then like to start with introducing yourself, and then we can get started. I can introduce you.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Lucy Fernandez. I am the Senior Positive Alternatives to Shelter Surrender Intake Diversion Programming Manager at Austin Pets Alive. I know they put a senior in there now. Who knew? And so you earn the gray hair. I guess they throw another title in. And and today we're going to be going in and talking about access to services. Again, just how important it is for the veterinary care and everything, but we don't recognize sometimes that our common sense isn't common, and that we have a very privileged situation most times. If we have a home, if we have a vehicle, if we have all these things, that necessarily not everybody does. So we want to always take those things into consideration when we're engaging with the community and decentralizing support resources and doing better for our animals. That's my introduction, and I'm going to go over to Sarah McGoldrick. She's also going to be speaking today. Sarah is with Dallas Pets Alive, and they have a PASS program, and they're no killing it up there in North Texas, with all of their just amazing ideas. They stole PASS from us, but now we're stealing their ideas from them. So it's not so much stealing as it is just learning and resource sharing, and not starting from scratch, because we all know how hard that can be. They've been doing amazing things, obviously, with Dogs Matter, but then also with Sniffed, and they'll kind of give you some insight on that. But go ahead, Sarah, take it away.
Actually, before Sarah takes it away, I'll just introduce the other speakers, and then we can go ahead, okay? No worries. So I'm Geraldine De Silva, and I am a human and animal welfare consultant, and I'm working with some national organizations like Open Door Veterinary Collective and Project Street Vet, and also some local organizations here in San Diego. And today, our two other speakers are from two separate organizations. One of them is Gayle Bair, who's the pet retention liaison at Animal Friends in Pittsburgh. And Animal Friends was one of the first organizations to pilot U-Transport, which was an initiative launched by Open Door Veterinary Collective in partnership with Uber for Business, which I was proud to establish, actually. And Marty Sampson is the founder and CEO of Leash, a pet-only transportation platform that connects pet owners with professional vetted pet drivers in their local areas. And so Marty was very responsive. I made a cold call to him, and he was excited to engage with all of us animal professionals on this platform. And so today we're going to start with Gayle, and then we'll go to Sarah, and then Marty. So take it away.
Okay, thank you. Could you share the first slide, please? Thank you. Hello, as Geraldine just said, my name is Gayle Bair, and I am the Pet Retention Liaison at Animal Friends. Animal Friends is a nonprofit managed admission shelter located north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The organization's vision is a humane and compassionate future for every animal friend. I'm part of the safety net team, and my role at Animal Friends is to provide support so pets and people can stay together. Thank you for inviting me to be here today to talk briefly about U-Transport. Animal Friends is not accessible by public transit, and finding pet-inclusive transportation options has been a priority for us. Next slide, please. Our pet retention program includes a robust pet food bank, community outreach, behavior support, social service resources, and access to Animal Friends' affordable clinic. In 2023, we asked our pet pantry community if there were barriers impacting care for their pets. 43 of 147 folks, or 29%, indicated that transportation was indeed a barrier to accessing veterinary care. So in 2023, we designated a budget for client transportation, but we're struggling to develop an effective transport model. Next slide, please. The Open Door Veterinary Collective rolled out U-Transport on Maddie's Pet Forum in October 2023, and we were totally excited to see this announcement and immediately jumped on it. We registered and completed the online setup. Enrollment was super easy. The first trip to our affordable veterinary clinic using the U-Transport Uber for Business platform took place December 27th, 2023. Next slide. Getting started with U-Transport was straightforward. There was a brief interest form on the Open Door Consult website. A simple setup guide was provided, and our organization was connected to an Uber for Business project manager for assistance, and she was really helpful. Once the enrollment process was complete, a customized dashboard went live and a budget was set. That's really all there was to it. I understand that the process has been simplified by the Open Door Veterinary Collective. They now share a step-by-step guide from Uber that any organization can use to start their transport program to get pets to their appointments. And I think that's going to be dropped in the chat. Next slide, please. This is Monica and Bair. They were one of our very first Uber pet users. They have had multiple clinic appointments using this service since January 2024. And in fact, Bair will be coming in later this week to get neutered, and they'll be using the Uber pet service for that. We asked Monica for feedback, and she shared, without Uber Pet, we would be lost. I wouldn't be able to get her shots. We appreciate from the bottom of our hearts, and God bless. Monica is one of our pet pantry clients, and she receives her food every month through delivery. One of our fabulous volunteers takes her food to her. Next slide, please. The Uber Pet process here at Animal Friends does take collaboration. When a community member makes a veterinary appointment, the clinic contacts the pet retention team, which is myself and my colleague Cecilia, who set up the ride on the Uber for Business platform. On the day of the appointment, the pet retention team orders the ride, contacts the client, and is available to coach the client through the process from arrival to departure. This coaching can be time intensive for clients who struggle with the technology, but of course it's worth it. Next slide, please. Here's a screenshot from the Uber for Business platform. It is quite user-friendly, and online support is readily available via chat. And in fact, we were using the chat feature last Thursday. The dashboard tracks all the data for every ride, including mileage and expenses. The map pictured here comes to our cell phones via text, which is super helpful for guiding the Uber to the right spot and greeting the person with their pet. Animal Friends has two buildings, and inevitably the vehicle will bring folks to our lower building, which is the shelter, and the clinic is not housed there. So myself or my colleague will watch this map and then kind of plant ourselves at the lower building so we can direct the vehicle up to where the clinic is. Next slide, please. We are so pleased that U-Transport has expanded access to affordable veterinary care at our clinic. Since late December 2023, community members have utilized Uber Pet for spay-neuter surgery, wellness or vaccine appointments, and we even had one euthanasia. As of November 1st, 2024, 24 different community members and pets have gotten to their appointments, 75 trips have been made, and $2,480 has been spent on transport, which is an average of $33 per ride. A clinic appointment requires 2 trips, and spay-neuter requires 4. Some clients have had multiple appointments using this service. Riders come from all over the greater Pittsburgh area, and our longest one-way trip to date is 23 miles. Next slide, please. This is Anne. In 2023, before we were using Uber, Anne had a clinic appointment for her pup. Arranging transportation was frankly a logistical nightmare. We finally recruited an amazing dog handling volunteer who transported her dog, but policy wouldn't allow for Anne to ride too. In 2024, Uber Pet was in place so Anne and her dog could come to the clinic together. It was a smoother process all the way around. Anne talked about her second experience. She shared, the Uber trip was pleasant and the driver was considerate. My dog gives me companionship. Now he can get his shots, which is, of course, the whole reason we do this. And I will say most of the Uber drivers have been extremely helpful. If we've had a client who's wrestling with a cat carrier or maybe using a walker or a cane, some of the drivers have actually gotten out of their vehicle and helped the client, which we appreciate. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, over the past year, U-Transport has truly helped Animal for Friends fulfill its mission to inspire a community where the animal-human bond is nurtured. And for this, we are grateful. Next slide. That's it. Thank you again for inviting me to share Animal Friends' experience with U-Transport. There are some idiosyncrasies with the platform that we have had to work around, and we'll touch on those at a future Lunch and Learn session. And I just wanted to share, by the way, the cute little guy on this slide is Saber. He was my first adoptee from Animal Friends in 2011, and he's what inspired me to start working there. Thank you very, very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gayle. That was a great presentation. And now we're going to have Sarah present. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Geraldine. We go ahead and pull up these slides for everyone. Perfect. So my name is Sarah. I am with Dallas Pets Alive, and we are a foster-based organization out of Dallas. And we serve all of the DFW Metroplex and fostering and then also providing that preventative care through our PASS program that, like Lucy said, we stole from APA. Is really our biggest focus. And my role is really to oversee all of our animal operations, overseeing all of our past programming, and really just providing that support for the pet owners as well as all of our fosters and volunteers. So SNIFT is our transportation program. It's Lift for Pets. One of our volunteers, our rescue director, actually had this fabulous idea, and it started with the intention of making fostering more accessible with, for those that have medical appointments during the day that they're at work, or maybe they just can't get to our preferred vet partner, providing that transportation. And once we rolled it out for our foster program, I realized, this is a really great idea for our past clients. Because like Gayle was saying, coordinating that transportation when someone needed help getting to a vet appointment was really a logistical nightmare. And so SNIFT kind of helped bridge that gap for our PASS program as well. And it's made up a group of volunteers with the goal of making that vet care more accessible for the community, whether it's the fosters, whether it's the PASS clients. We have, it has really helped us create a whole system in place to make this a little bit less frantic and less of a logistical nightmare. So a couple of the numbers for our SNIFT program. So we rolled it out middle of the year in 2023. We've done a total of 75 SNIFT rides. We've got 16 different volunteers between drivers and then our SNIFT coordinator. And we've spent just over $2,000. This is something that we received a grant for this. So you can roll out this program with financial compensation to your drivers, or you can also roll this out as just a completely volunteer. Someone can sign up and, give their time to transport that pet. The program itself really just helps give that coordination and that roadmap to create those logistics for it. So when we rolled out SNIFT, DPA is really big on our standard operating procedures. So just knowing, as we've got volunteer turnover, if we have new people coming and going, turning over all of those, information. So we have a document listing all of what this looks like for our SNIFT coordinator, what this looks like for the drivers, how to request a ride. We have a driver agreement. So we want to make sure that we're covered and our drivers are covered with, liability, with insurance, they're licensed to drive. We ask that the drivers are only transporting the pets They're not, insured to be, like Uber drivers where they can take humans with them. So only transporting the pets. This program is really great for things like spay neuter appointments or surgery appointments where you're literally just going to drop off. We have used the Uber for Pet program that Gayle was just talking about, and it's a really fantastic program. But this saves us a little bit of money when it is just a drop off for a surgery appointment because we don't have to worry about getting that owner back home after the drop off. So the driver agreement, we're verifying their license and their insurance. We provide all of the supplies that they might need. So if they don't have a crate that they can put in their car, we'll make sure that they have crates available. We'll make sure that they've got treats if needed. When we're collecting the information for the sniffed request, we're asking, how does your pet do in the car so that that driver can be prepared? We put together a volunteer description. So what does that look like if you want to be our sniffed coordinator and you want to support that part of the program of coordinating the rides? We've put together, what does that look like to be the actual sniff driver? And then we have, all the email templates of coordinating, and connecting the drivers with either the foster or the pet owner. And the process is really simple. So if it's a past client, they'll have their appointment and our past director, Jillian, will request that ride with our sniff coordinator. We get all of the details, the pickup location, the drop-off location. Is this just a drop-off appointment, like a spay or a neuter? Or does the driver have to wait throughout the whole duration of the appointment? We've got a group email, so they send out an email to all of our different drivers. And once we have someone that signs up, they are connected to that pet owner. It really makes the whole process a lot more logistically simpler than just kind of scrambling to find someone to do that transportation. And so that's kind of our sniff program in a nutshell. And we've got lots of great documents. So if there's, if you have questions, if you want to roll something like this out, for your own organization or your own community, please feel free to reach out. It's a really easy way to, whether you've got the funding or not, it's a really easy way to help just coordinate those logistics and support the community. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. I love how this is gaining momentum and there's a lot of activity in the chat and questions. So it's a perfect time to hand it over to Marty. And then if we have time for questions at the end, we can address this. So over to you, Marty.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Marty Sampson. I am the founder of Leash Pet Transportation, or just Leash, as I've been trying to get it shortened down for folks. We drive pets to appointments. That's what we do. We're a for-profit business, and we drive pets to appointments. This business was really built, the start of this business was based out of a personal need that my wife and I had about 4 years ago. Our large dog, Wally, who is the logo here, he is a giant golden doodle, as I like to say. And one morning, Wally came tearing through our kitchen and he needed to go to doggy daycare. And neither of us, we both had to go in different directions. And doggy daycare was 20 minutes out of the way in both directions. And so just kind of off the cuff, my wife said it would be really nice if someone could come and pick Wally up and take him to daycare for us. I started looking at it and decided to start this business. And as we started during the middle of COVID, so it was a very strange time to start a business. And when we started the business, we really the thought process was really around convenience for folks who were busy, because that's the situation that we were in. But it became very clear very, very quickly that Leash was not only going to be used by folks that were very busy, but it was going to be used by folks who really either lacked transportation, did not have access to transportation, couldn't drive, or whatever their situation was, they themselves were unable to get their pets to critical appointments, not just doggy daycare boarding, but to vet appointments or to grooming appointments. And one of our very, very early clients, her name was Michaela, and Michaela had 2 Shih Tzus. And Michaela suffered from, I think it was probably like emphysema, and she was homebound. And Michaela called me, and she says, "Hey, I saw your advertisement someplace, and I need to get my 2 dogs to the vet, but how do I know I can trust you?" And this was Michaela was probably our 3rd or 4th client. And I said, "Well, why don't I come over to your house and you can meet me before we drive your pets?" And it just gave me a big, insight as to who the folks were that would be potentially using Leash. So today I'm going to give you an overview of Leash, what we do, and how we do it. I won't talk about the communities that we currently serve, or the communities that we are planning on serving. And I won't go over any details about how our partnerships work with either businesses or organizations. My contact info will be on the last slide. If you do want more information about which communities we do serve or how our partnerships work with either businesses or organizations, please feel free to reach out to me. We've already had actually one person already book a time. You can go to our website. It will let you book a time.
I'm on it, but I'm not.
Oh, we've got somebody off the mute. Anyhow, okay. So, let me see. So at Leash, our mission is really that we believe transportation should never be a barrier to providing care or experiencing the unconditional love that pets provide. And Leash, our goal is to make that possible, to allow anyone to be able to have a pet and experience that unconditional love. So Leash, very simple. We provide pet-only rides to and from daily pet care appointments and activities. So to vet appointments, grooming appointments, doggy daycare, boarding, pet resorts, wherever pets need to go inside of a metropolitan area. The main problem that we were trying to solve for is that folks often lack transportation, or they find it inconvenient to have to drive pets to daily appointments. And as a result of that, many pets we know they either miss or they have delayed veterinary care, preventative treatment, or grooming needs. What our platform allows is it connects pet owners, pet care businesses, and pet welfare organizations with high quality drivers in their areas. And our partnerships, we partner directly with both businesses and organizations, and it allows them to be able to offer pick up and drop off services without the need of buying vehicles or hiring additional staff. So we can solve that problem for organizations without them having to set it up themselves. I think what Sarah and Gayle have done is amazing. Like that, the sniff, I didn't think of that name. That was fantastic. So how Leash works. So it's very simple. So we function very similar to a rideshare service, but we only drive pets. So there's 3 ways that folks can schedule rides with Leash. So they can download our app and schedule rides through the app. They can call us directly. We do have a 1-800 number that folks can call to schedule rides. Most folks who use us for the first time, they like to call us. They like to ask their questions. They want to know who's driving my pet. What are your standards? How is my pet going to sit in the vehicle? They have a lot of questions, rightfully so. We want to be there. We connect them with a human so that they can have those questions answered straight away. And then the third way that folks can get rides with us is they can book rides. Rides can be booked directly through our partners. So our partners have a platform with which they can book rides directly for either their customers, their clients who are using their services, or for the recipients of the pet organizations. Once a ride is booked, our system matches the ride request with a Leash driver, and I'll go over those criteria of our drivers here in a second. Drivers provide the rides at the scheduled time, and they adhere to our safety protocols. That's one thing that we've done, is we've really built out our safety protocols so that all of our drivers know this is the process that we use when we're picking up and dropping off pets. And then the cost. So ride fares typically cost between $20 and $30 for a one-way ride. And then Leash, we capture that payment automatically via credit card, either from the pet owner themselves or from, if it's an organization that is paying for that service, from the organization. So our driver standards. So our drivers are all either current or former pet care professionals. That is, like, they have to have had either some professional or volunteer experience with pets. They have to be at least 23 years of age. They have to be vetted and background checked. Drivers, they must complete an online training and pass an exam during their registration process. The demographics around our drivers are very interesting. So 95% of our drivers are female and have an average age of 47 years old. So it's a bit different demographic than, say, the Uber drivers or DoorDash drivers, which, rightfully so, people call and they say, who is driving my pet? And we always explain that these folks are pet care professionals that are providing these rides in and around their other jobs or other volunteer capacities. We do have a vehicle requirement, so our drivers utilize their own vehicles to pick up and drop off animals. So they're required to have a 4-door vehicle that's not more than 15 years old. Let's look at so our safety. So we have very standard pickup and drop off protocols. We only do 1 ride per household, so we do not carpool. We will drive up to 3 animals from the same household to whatever location they need to go to, but we do not carpool. Even neighboring dogs, we get that a lot of times, like, our 2 dogs go to the same place. Sorry. Drivers, our goal is to always meet dogs inside, particularly dogs inside of the home or the business or the organization. We want that transfer of custody to occur always inside. I know during COVID, there was a lot of curbside pickup. We really, even if a place has curbside pickup, we will ask, like, can our driver come in and take custody of the animal inside the building. So cats are always carried in a carrier. We do not like our drivers to actually handle cats physically. just for fear of injury. So when we pick up a cat, we would prefer if that cat were in a carrier. Dogs will always have, if we meet a dog and it doesn't have a harness, the driver will place a leash issued harness on the dog prior to the ride. And then small dogs can also be placed in carriers. Our drivers have, generally they have 2 to 3 different harnesses for different sizing of dogs. We handle one dog at a time. So even if we have multiple dogs in the same ride, our drivers will go in, get one dog, bring one dog out to the vehicle, get them set up, get them attached to their tether inside the vehicle, go back into either the business or the house, get the second dog, bring that dog out, get them settled, and then on their way. And then dogs are always tethered to seat belts or anchor or an anchor in the floor of an SUV. And we do use kind of the New Jersey standards. New Jersey has fairly high standards with how pets, particularly dogs, are supposed to be transported. And we follow those guidelines of the state of New Jersey. So I know today we wanted to talk, particularly about getting pets to vets. So we do provide rides for pets to veterinary appointments. Our rides are for routine, non-urgent veterinary appointments. So checkups, vaccinations, wellness checks. We can take dogs to, if they're having spay or neutered, if they're having a surgery, we can take them there. We do have some ride requirements. Our ride requirements are pre-scheduled appointments. So pet owners or organizations, they have to book, they have to have an appointment booked with the vet. There are a lot of clinics out there that are like first come, first serve. Unfortunately, that's very difficult for us because our drivers can't sit there for, the duration waiting to check a pet in those. And then we do have to have drop-off friendly clinics. So veterinary clinics have to support drop-off services. Clinics should be prepared to communicate directly with pet owners and accept payment for pet services over the phone. We do have some limitations like any organization. So we're not an emergency service. So we don't transport pets who are severely ill or in immediate distress. We do require that pets be in stable condition in order to ride with us. So no vomiting, no diarrhea, or other severe symptoms. And then dogs, they do need to be able to walk on their own to the vehicle, and drivers unfortunately are not permitted to carry pets weighing over 20 pounds. So we do have some limitations on that. We do, like I said, we do partner with organizations. We currently have a partnership so we're based in Omaha, Nebraska. We do have a partnership with the Eastern Nebraska Office on Aging, which provides Meals on Wheels for the city of Omaha. They've received grant money from PetSmart in order to be able to provide veterinary services and grooming services. They're also able to provide transportation services. So we have partnered with them to provide those transportation services to the other services. If you're interested in learning more about Leash, about where we serve or partnering with us, please feel free to send me an email, give me a call. You can go on our website and schedule a time directly to have a conversation with me. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marty and Gayle and Sarah, for all of this insight. Obviously, this is a topic that comes up very often with our colleagues and peers in the industry. And so we've got a lot of questions in the chat. Some of them they've sent directly to Lucy and I. I'll let Lucy take it from here since I have a lot of background noise at the airport.
Thank you so much, Geraldine and Marty and Gayle and Sarah. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely eye-opening because we don't know what we don't know when it comes to barriers and things like that. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and I made notes of some of the questions, not the AI bot questions, but the real life questions, because some of these bots I was like, what is happening? Why? Okay. So first question, and it's kind of just to the group.
What? Sorry. Have you heard anything from Chef's printing about the mailer? Usually they email me.
All right, Tina. Our organization requires that anyone who does transport for people on our behalf have full insurance in case of an accident. Does Uber for Business have it? I think this one, for Gayle and Sarah, obviously like insurance and liability and covering our butts, right? We want to go ahead and make sure that we're covering our assets to things. And so if anybody could speak on that.
We inquired about that because our very first Uber trip did get into a little fender bender. So the insurance is the same as it is for any Uber trip, which it lies with the Uber driver.
Yeah, and I can actually add to that because I spoke with Uber just to clarify, and they said that it's left up to the individual driver to accept a ride. So when they accept the ride, the liability is all what they have to sort of take care of. So Uber is just like the umbrella organization, but all of the drivers are independently responsible for any liability.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Again, we try to go ahead in the best intentions, but then every once in a while, dealing with human beings and live animals, stuff's going to happen no matter how much we try to cover it. So that's good. It's great to know. Thank you so much. How are pets picked up if owner is not available for pickup or drop off? Again, they can't hitchhike. So if anybody can speak to that, I'm sure there's some coordination on the back end on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we do pickup and drop offs when pet owners are not home. When a pet owner is scheduling a ride or an organization is scheduling a ride, they can simply, we have a drop-down menu that allows them to say, someone will be home or no one will be home. Here is the way to get into our house or our apartment, this is where the animal will be. Or if we're dropping off the animal at home and no one is home, then we simply ask, like, where would you like us to place, the animal? Or do they have a kennel? Do they want to be put in the laundry room? Just give us instructions.
Thank you so much.
Go
ahead, please.
And Lucy, I'll add on to that. So for sniff, we won't send our volunteers into, someone else's home. But we'll do some extra coordination. So whether that animal has to be picked up early or dropped off late, a lot of our drivers are, people working from home, or maybe they're retired and they've got the opportunity to spend some time with a dog or a cat for a little bit of time. We also partner with a really great rescue only clinic that if we have to drop off early or pick up later than the appointment, that's totally fine with them. So we usually it takes a little bit of extra coordination, but we can usually make that happen.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think the point is there's no one size fits all, right? On anything, right? Every case is going to be a little bit different. So thank you so much. It's eye-opening. How would you ensure the pet owners hear all of the proper care instructions for their animal after surgery? that's kind of important, obviously making sure that aftercare procedures are followed and the instructions are provided to the human and all that stuff. So how do y'all handle that kind of thing?
For DPA and the sniff side, either the owner is going to speak directly with the vet clinic, or we'll just make sure that paperwork gets sent home. If it's a past client, our past director is usually in pretty close contact the with the pet owner, and so she'll relay a lot of that information as well. So we really just try to make sure it gets, between three ways: the vet directly, just conversations, phone calls, through our past coordinator, and then the paperwork that is sent home with the pet.
And using Uber for pet, the pet parent comes along, so they're able to get the instructions right on the spot.
And then for Leash, so we really don't want our drivers to be the conduit of information between the veterinary clinic and the pet owner. We really ask that the vet clinic reach out directly to the pet owner and provide whatever, and either ask the questions that they need to ask or provide the instructions that they need to provide. We just don't. We have extremely helpful drivers. We just don't want anything to get lost in translation.
Amazing. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, I think that again, it's not a one size fits all kind of a deal. So we definitely want to make sure that, having the flexibility and having like a for-profit sort of situation versus a nonprofit and rescue sort of stuff, it's going to be a little bit variable. So I think it's awesome that all y'all are able to kind of speak to that and seeing like what kind of flexible options there are. For any of those services, what kind of vehicles are used?
We allow our volunteers to use whatever vehicle they have, as long as it is safe and it, doesn't have any safety concerns. They can choose what type of pets they're transporting. So if they've got a really small car and, they don't want to take the 80-pound pity mix, that's totally fine. Or if they just want to stick to like cats or something like that, but we will allow them to use, because they're volunteering their time and we give them a small stipend for this. We let them use whatever vehicle they have, as long as it runs safely.
So we have pretty strict guidelines around the vehicles that the drivers who drive with Leash can use. All of our vehicles have to be at least 15 years or younger. They have to have it has to be a four-door vehicle. They have to have I think 5 seat belts if it's a four-door vehicle. But beyond that, we really don't have, you don't have to have a certain type of SUV or van. And we have different people that drive different vehicles. And, we'll get requests for, we need someone with a minivan. And we'll make sure that those folks that the person who needs a minivan can get a driver who has a minivan. Or if we have some very large dogs, we'll make sure that we are using a driver that has a large enough vehicle for those dogs.
Amazing. Thank y'all so much. Sorry, we are at the 1 minute mark. So unfortunately I have to go ahead and just do the wrap up on things. But we will be continuing this conversation in the community conversations chat. And so you can go ahead and scan the link there. There's going to be the link to that, the community conversation forum for this. So you guys can go ahead and follow up. You can either email the speakers directly, go ahead and hop in the conversations, if, you know, like share SOPs and all the other fun stuff, to try to see if you can just kick it off and pilot in your own area. I think one of the biggest takeaways though, and just to kind of wrap up, is that like this is a village, right? It's not that, you know, the animals need us, and we need to go ahead and work together to go ahead and solve for these things. I think it's a huge thing to speak that, like, you know, the the DPA program is up in the DFW area, and so is the other program. And so I think that, you know, kind of connecting and seeing which one, you know, one size doesn't fit all. And so that we're working together, and access to care is just so important, in us working together. So thank you so much again for our speakers' time and everything that you're doing for the pets and the people in the community. And yeah, thanks so much for everybody's kick ass and save lives.